When I first met Rob last summer, he took opportunity to describe to me the Los Azules asset. I was quite surprised to find that a mid-cap miner focused to precious metals would own 100% of a very large, undeveloped copper resource in the high Andes of Argentina. But what Rob was describing to me was the very same type of resource with similar grades, geographical challenges, altitude and climate that pertains to the large El Pachon copper resource that I'd interrogated on behalf of Glencore just 2 years previously. El Pachon, if I'm right, what have I done here? El Pachon is just 70 kilometres to the south of Los Azules, and is probably, if we were to improve the road, little more than an hour and a half by vehicle, provided we do improve the road. Today, I'm 9 months with McEwen Mining and engaged with the challenge that is Los Azules, and addressing this AGM as the Senior Vice President for Projects, with particular focus to taking Los Azules asset into a higher asset value class, and further down the path to its destiny as what is going to be a world-class copper mine. And we were discussing what is a world-class copper mine earlier, and we decided it was probably about 120,000 tonnes of copper production per annum. Well, Los Azules is going to be, on average, around 150,000 tonnes of copper per annum. Very substantial. But before getting into more details about Los Azules, I have to remind you that the last published PEA was back in 2013. But in August of this year, in just 3 more months, an updated 2017 PEA for Los Azules will be published, incorporating our drilling data from earlier this year, our new vision, and our latest evaluations. Until this PEA is published, I can't really share financial valuations with you, but I will share with you that the 2017 PEA update for Los Azules will contain very positive information containing enhanced financial attributes and the next positive steps we have planned to add yet further value to this quality asset. I would like now to talk just a little to this slide. In this slide you can see the proximity of Los Azules at the extreme west boundary with the frontier with Chile. As a purely Argentinian development, Los Azules is challenged by the approximately 1,200 kilometre distance and complex logistics of transporting bulk concentrates from the high Andes to a suitable port on the Atlantic coast. This includes maintaining year-round access through steep mountain country that receives 1 to 2 metres of snow annually. Los Azules is also challenged in Argentina by its distance to a substantial available power connection, and with the logistics in delivering the innumerable over-dimension and overweight loads that a development requires and mining operations require. More recently, with the changed political environment in Argentina, the concentrate taxes on exports have been removed, but further there is now a very positive attitude towards binational developments and binational infrastructure with Chile. Both the national government in Argentina and the San Juan provincial governments now want to see responsible mining developments happen as soon as reasonably possible. And they're making a great deal of noise to make projects happen. We're listening. Now, I'll ask you once again to revisit this slide and now think of a binational project development. So under a binational implementation scenario, Los Azules is now just 250 kilometres distant from an existing concentrate exporting port called Coquimbo on the Pacific coast. It's right next to La Serena, which is more well known. 150 kilometres of that 250 kilometres is on existing highway. Paved highway, very well constructed, very recently constructed, very underutilised. The remaining 100 kilometres is on existing roads that we would need to upgrade. And only 10 kilometres of that route is snow affected. So now we have Los Azules no longer as an isolated mine from the coast. It's actually closer to the Coquimbo port than some Chilean producers who are also using this port. And the port comes with available storage facilities and ship loading capacity that were recently vacated. We're having the red carpet put down for us to go there. Being a Pacific Ocean exporting port, Coquimbo also comes with shorter and cheaper shipping into Asia, which are where the major concentrate markets are. Coquimbo Port is also a suitable port for importing all the overweight and over-dimensioned loads necessary for a project development and for ongoing mining operations. Just think of the truck trays on a 350-tonne capacity mine haul truck. Those trays are more than 2 normal road lane widths. We have no problem importing those into Coquimbo and no problem under escort conditions taking them up to the mine site. We've reviewed the road, and all we have to do are 2 minor community bypasses, which we would wish to do in any event for the concentrate haulage on this same route. Furthermore, referencing this map once again, the power supply available to Los Azules is now just 100 kilometres distant from a substation on the main 500 kV arterial power line connection in Chile. All these aspects I'm now advancing with national authorities, municipalities and the service providers to secure each of these value accretive initiatives for Los Azules. And every meeting to date, and there has been a few, has been very positive indeed. So now let me show you, that's the Los Azules future mine site. It's an ore body basically divided 750,000 tonnes at 0.5% copper and 750,000 million tonnes at 0.36%. Do the maths, 1.5 billion tonnes at 0.43%. Stripping ratio less than 1 to 1. Many of the exploration drill holes, which frustrates us, terminate within resource grade material. Yet we have defined the pit limits based on just the bottom of the existing holes. So we know there's more resource than what we're talking of in this meeting. We also have gold and silver credits within these concentrates that we will be exporting. So now we'll share with you our revised resource development vision for Los Azules. That's not the current position. I could read out to you, we're developing a very large copper resource at Los Azules, and it's going to be done by putting a big, fat, juicy concentrating plant right there with a big mining fleet. We're not going to do that. That was more or less the plan presented back in 2013, and it was very frequently the plan of many mining companies over the last few years. What we will be doing, we will set out in the PEA. But basically it comes down to, we will be doing a phased implementation approach, where initial development capex is minimised, but future expansion is anticipated and incorporated into the installations. Our phased implementation approach now uses only a copper concentrator plant, and we will only produce a copper concentrate at about 33% content copper. Some component of the improved financial attributes that we will tell you about comes from simplifying the process from what was a complex plant previously to now being just a simplistic concentrator, which, believe it or not, is such as that one shown there. The concentrator plant we are proposing to use at Los Azules is going to be a replication of an existing, recently constructed, proven and successful copper concentrator plant operating in a very similar climate, a very similar altitude, processing a similar ore type with similar copper grades and similar precious metal content. It makes the case for replication very compelling against the alternative of making another specific design. By replicating an existing concentrator implementation, we also have access and understanding and complete confidence of the capital needs, the operating needs, the construction challenges, and the environmental impacts. We don't have to perform expensive and complex modelling for such things as water consumption and power consumption. We can simply ask and obtain the up-to-date data of the operating existing plant. The proposed first phase of our implementation is set at 80,000 tonnes per day throughput. That's still a lot. 2013 PA talks of 120,000 tonnes a day. So this is a smaller first implementation. The concentrator we are proposing to replicate currently performs at 83,000 tonnes a day when measured over a whole year, and that is trending upwards. So we're being conservative in both our approach and in our capacity throughputs. Our proposed second phase of implementation will take the concentrator up to 120,000 tonnes per day throughput. This will come online at the start of the 5th year of operations, adding another process line. The timing for the expansion is predicated upon funding becoming available from cash flows and not from taking on debt. Importantly, this second phase of implementation will incorporate all of our required processing knowledge over the first 2 years of operation and any proven innovative enhancements, such as what you may hear about later on in this meeting today, and such as using polymers in flotation and coarse grinding. And it's not unreasonable that the 50% expansion may not be required in full to deliver the same throughput increment that we are seeking. The example I'm showing of a plant there is the one that we're proposing to replicate, except ours will have a roof and walls. And incidentally, that one does now. I'm going to now move on to our proposed mine site configuration and the incremental growth over time. What you see there, or it might not look very clear on your screen, is a computer rendition of the current landscape. It represents how it appears today without any development. We don't have the vegetation that exists in the valley bottoms, but it serves for our purpose. I'll just walk you through our proposed development. The first stages that you'll see there is development of the concentrator site and the overland conveyor. Then you see us do some pre-stripping, and we create a hole. The material from that pre-strip goes into the waste dump, shown brown there in front of the concentrator, and also comes down here to the very front where you see the tailings dam, the very first stage. If we move on to year 5, you see the pit gets slightly larger, the waste dumps get larger, the tailings dam is starting to accumulate material behind. Year 10, we have more. Year 20, pit's getting very large, tailings dam is filling now its entire footprint, the waste dump also. Year 30, this is a long life of mine. And here we have the ultimate pit with the ultimate tailings dam and the ultimate waste dump. In many ways, behind this cartoon representation, I'm showing you the perfect mine. There is a single life of mine waste dump in close proximity to the pit. There is a single life of mine tailings dam, always gravity filled from the nearby concentrator plant. The gravity passage of tailings between the concentrator and the tailings plant is extremely beneficial. The alternative is pumping. And for any of us who may have witnessed pumping 120,000 tonnes a day of tailings uphill, I'm sure you can imagine no one wants to go there again. Not shown on here is a low-level camp, which is downstream or towards me from the dam shown there for the tailings dam. And I'd also like to draw your attention to the environmental security offered by this site configuration. Because of the configuration of the water catchment and our facilities, any rainfall or any water emanating from this pit, from this concentrator, from anywhere, reports into the tailings dam, where it is recovered and then used in the processing plant. There are no discharges of contact water from this project. With a configuration like this, environmental approval should not encounter a great deal of resistance, because we are not having to manage contact water, which is always a source of great concern. Now, I'd also like to draw your attention to what may seem to be a rather insignificant straight line right at the bottom of the picture. Los Azules, while in the high Andes Mountains, is blessed with a very wide valley in close proximity. Not only is it suitable for the tailings dam, it's suitable for a substantial airstrip. This airstrip enables us to consider fly-in, fly-out working rosters throughout the development phase and for the life of mine operations. Instead of an all-day journey for personnel to travel from San Juan to site and the resultant frustration at sitting in a bus all day and the wasted time it involves, the workforce will meet in San Juan Airport probably at 5 o'clock in the morning, dressed to go to work, and 90 minutes later they will be at work. So, what are the outcomes of this new implementation approach? A single process with ores conventionally processed into a very clean and easily marketable copper concentrate. Simple truck haulage into Chile and exporting through an existing port at Coquimbo. It all delivers a significantly reduced initial capex, more than $1 billion less capex than what we had in the 2013 PEA. Our IRR increases by around 3%. We have investment grade IRR at less than the current copper price, and about 20% IRR at around $3 copper. Los Azules, when developed, will become a world-class large copper producer with 150,000 tonnes of copper over the life of mine, with production of 30 to 40 years. Now allow me to share with you our envisaged next steps for Los Azules. The 2017 PEA is going to be published in August. We will put in there the drilling results from the 6,300 metres of drilling we performed in the first quarter of this year. We will have revised, measured, indicated and inferred values. We will outline the proposed next phase of drilling works and some follow-up geophysics to try and understand an encounter of copper ore which we had not expected in the northeast pit limits. We will be following up more with the binational development approach, the phased implementation approach, and we'll be publishing new improved financial outcomes. After the PEA is published, our focus is going to shift towards permitting. This needs us to advance environmental baseline work, geotechnical work such as dam design, slope stability and pit dewatering, and our plan is to enter permitting at the end of next year. Further studies and drilling will be needed as we move towards feasibility, and we will also be working with municipalities and governments in Chile and in Argentina. At the same time, we will be seeking out opportunities to usefully integrate Los Azules with other possible mining operations in proximity. I mentioned El Pachon, but there are one or two others. And we look forward to one day including a quality third party interested in buying a funding interest. I assure you, exciting times lie immediately ahead for Los Azules.